Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Wednesday, the 18th of December, and today we'll have a look at two of the biggest companies traded on New York Stock Exchange or the American Stock Exchanges. Here we have Microsoft that had a good day yesterday, despite the fact that the market was down, but it was lifting it somewhat, while actually Nasdaq was higher. Has been higher the past few days, but yesterday we were a little bit down across the board. But Microsoft pushing higher and is pushing towards previous all-time highs, just around 468.35, and I think it will be reached possibly before Christmas, but at least before year end. Another one that is interesting to watch is Nvidia. Nvidia has been struggling lately, and yesterday it dipped below key support at 128.74, but it managed to close above. Key will be to watch out for 131.60. If it can close back above that level, well, then we could see a bounce towards 140. But if it closes below 128.74, and especially if it closes below the cloud area here, then we could see further selling pressure in Nvidia shares. What is also interesting to note is that the RSI on daily closed below 40 threshold, indicating likely lower levels, but I want confirmation. But it is really key to watch out for here the next few days. So what it did, the S&P 500 and all the other markets, they have been trading sideways. At least the S&P 500 trading sideways past few days, could dip down to 6,000 levels. There is minor divergence on the RSI, indicating we're a little bit stressed, but I think we'll be lifted higher, a little bit higher towards the year end. Nasdaq 100 has been the strongest one here, where we closed a little bit lower yesterday, but Monday was a very good day, and especially Tesla has been pushing higher, and it's pushing higher towards, well, actually making new high times more or less every single day. So there's no need to, for now, there's no new signals in Tesla. But here we have Nasdaq 100. It is quite stretched on the weekly, as we can see. We are in exhaustion mode, but we need a top and reversal pattern in place, which we haven't seen. The Dow Jones index has been the weakest of all indices, and if we are just zooming in here on the daily chart, we can see it dipped down to the 55 moving average and the 786 retracement of this uptrend here at 43,395. I think we will see a bounce here the next few days, pushing back to 44,000. RSI is still in a positive sentiment, didn't close below 40 threshold, so we could see a bounce. So that would be key to watch out next couple of days. Will it close back below 40 or will it bounce? On the European market, we have EUROSTOXX 50 still having closed above 5,000, spiked above key support here at 4,900. We could test it, and we could also test the cloud area here just below, but I think we will try to crawl higher towards 5,000 towards the year end. On the DAX index, well, it seems like we are now having a correction unfolding here in DAX. We closed below 20,277. We could see a correction down, possibly down to 20,000, but we have this gap area here that should be observed. And let me just draw some trend lines that are actually more important than these Fibonacci levels that I've drawn. So this area here, just above 20,000, will be key. On the CAC index, well, CAC index is still struggling. It managed, though, yesterday to close back above 73.41, despite the fact that it opened lower. So a little bit of positive signs, but it still needs to close this gap up here to above 75.11 for a bullish trend. Euro dollar is still holding on above 104.60. That is the key support you should look out for. We have talked about this inverted shoulder, head shoulder for quite some time. I think it will be cancelled. I think we will see euro dollar pushing lower, but I want confirmation of and a close below that. Another break, I think that will be enough before we push lower. On the cable sterling dollar, we Well, let's see if we can update. Well, on cable, well, 126.12, 126.10 key support. If it breaks that and pushes lower another time, well, then we're looking at 125 level. But we could crawl slowly higher towards 128. But here we can see 100 moving average declining and the 55 also declining, very close to. Give it a couple of days, then it's breaking below the 200. And I think we will see another selling wave in sterling dollar. Euro sterling, well, it bounced strongly, almost up to the 55 moving average and the 786 retracement at 83.35, and then it got hammered back down. So we're still in this falling wedge-like pattern. We are in a bearish sentiment and negative sentiment. There's no divergence, so we could see it pushing higher, but it needs to take out 82.25 for a push below 80. So the yen pairs, we have seen dollar yen spiking higher, but didn't get all the way up to 155 and the 786 retracement. However, it can still do that. We are in a positive sentiment on the RSI, just slightly, but still we are there. So I think we could push higher to that level here in the coming days, potentially all the way up to 156.75, but let's see about that. If it moves back below 151.74, well, then it could demolish that picture. But we're above the cloud, we're above all moving average, so likely pushing higher. Euro yen. Well, Euro yen rejected just at the 555 moving average, just below here the 61.8 retracement, and could resume downtrend if it pushes back below 160, and then I think we will resume downtrend. But if it can break above 162.70, well, the uptrend could be established. But we are negative sentiment on the RSI, so still potential lower. On the Aussie yen, well, rejected here at the lower part of the cloud, and the 38.2 retracement at 98 and a change, and 98 and 15, and it seems to be resuming downtrend. I think we will see it pushing lower towards 95.5 in the coming weeks, and also could push lower, and we're going to talk about Aussie dollar fairly soon. That is also pushing lower, so that's really what's playing in there. The sterling yen, well, it is testing the 61.8 retracement at the moment, just above the 55 and the 200 moving average. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, could be rejected and a slide back lower towards 192.50. Aussie dollar, well, it is pushing lower towards 62.70, and we can see what's actually going on here. If we are looking at the weekly chart we talked about before, it is now taking out these spikes previous this year, and we talked about that was very likely outcome, especially when we see all the moving averages declining, and we have a kind of a death cross here on 21 breaking below the 100 and the 55, and also 55 being rejected at the 100. So I think we will see a push down to around 62.70, maybe even lower to 61.85. Dollar Canada also pushing higher here. We are very much on the move. It has surpassed the 200% of this correction here, and we are pushing higher towards previous peaks here in 2020, which we talked about so many times. 145, we are looking at that level. We have Sterling Canada also pushing higher. Sterling Canada is pushing higher, taking out the previous peak, and is now at the 138 projection of this little correction here, and we are likely to push higher towards 183 in the coming days and weeks. Euro-Swiss, different question there going on, or different scenario. We spikes higher but got rejected at the 100, just around the 100 moving average. We did close above the falling trend line, but we are still below the cloud, as we can see, and that is key to observe what's going on there. And well, we did close just below, and then we got rejected, which is also around the 786 retracement. However, we do have the RSI in a positive sentiment. It closed above 60 threshold, so I think we could have another go. And if it pushes back above 94 once again, taking out the spike up there on the 17th at the 94.20, well, then we are likely to see Euro Swiss pushing higher. Dollar Swiss is got rejected at the 89.58 and the previous peak here, and I think we will see a little bit of a setback, but then I imagine we'll have another push higher because we have the 55 coming up there, we have the 100 also coming up, the 200 also slightly rising, so I think we'll see a push towards 90 in about a week or so, within the next week, I would say. The dollar index, on the other hand, did I click on it? Oh yes, here we have it. Got rejected at 61.8 retracement at 107 and a change. Currently testing the 106.42 minor support. We could see a correction lower, but I think we'll see it pushing higher here in the coming weeks towards 108. To totally demolish this bullish picture, a close below 105.40 is required. Gold is a little bit frustrating at the moment. It couldn't follow through. It couldn't close above the previous peak at 27.21 and a change. Didn't close above the cloud. It did close above, which is quite interesting, but it's just marginally above 60 threshold. We are caught in this range down to around 2600. However, the key support here is just around 25.45. If it does break below that, well, then we have a completely different situation, and that could also hurt and demolish the medium-term picture where we are looking at 3000. But it really needs to get back above 27.22 to really establish that bullish or resume the bullish scenario for gold. Silver, well, after being rejected here at 32.27, which is the 50% of this sell-off there, it still finds itself down here in the 30 area between 30 and 31. It couldn't get above that, and that is really required to push higher. We can also see the RSI got rejected at 60 threshold, so maybe we'll have another test at 29.70, which we have tested a couple of times, and the 200 moving average, and then I think it will bounce, but it will be a struggle to push higher. On the copper futures contract, well, it is also, after being rejected at 255 moving average, now it's back below all moving averages, and we are here in the 412, 410 level, and we could see a retest of the support areas here just about above 400. On the WTI crude oil, well, got rejected here at the 100 moving average and the lower part of cloud, and the RSI got rejected at 60 threshold, so we could resume downtrend. It really needs to close above the cloud. That would be first clue that we are pushing higher, and also taking out 72.88 resistance area. So this area here will be quite key the next few days. 66.70 is key support. Brent crude oil, more or less the same picture, obviously, where we have got rejected just below the cloud, couldn't get up to the 100 moving average. RSI didn't even get up to the 60 threshold, so still range bound here to the weaker side, I would say. Dutch gas have been seeing massive sell-off lately, which we have been discussing after closing this gap area and the double top pattern unfolding, and actually dipped below the 100 moving average, a little bit lower than I actually expected, but it is had a very strong day yesterday, and I think we'll see it push up to 42.87, and then it could also get back up into this this gap area here. That's the old gap area up to 44 and 45.33, and if it does close above that, and it's quite interesting, it's actually also the 61.8 is just at the upper part of that that gap area that is really key for gas to close if it wants to move higher. The US nat gas, Henry Hub gas, is still holding on above $3. Could push higher, but it really needs to take out this double top pattern. It's formed double top pattern, but it needs to take out 297 to the downside for push lower for this double top like pattern here to unfold. US Treasury yields has bounced strongly after the 414 support level was tested, and we have now been rejected here at 786 retracement of this corrective move here that we saw here in November going into early December. Just around 442, spiked a little bit higher. Key support, key resistance is of course 415. But if we're looking at the weekly chart, and that is always a good idea when we see these moves here closer to previous peaks, we can see it's still now trading around this falling trend line here in 450. Why that is such an important resistance level. I think we'll see a little bit of a setback, maybe down to around 432, 430, before we'll see another push higher. Also, the 2-year Treasury yields, well, the 2-year Treasury yields also pushed higher ahead of the past few days after a very strong bounce. Now at the 61.8 retracement at 423, I think it will push higher. The key will be, will RSI close above 60 threshold or not? That will be key. If it does, well, then we are likely to see a retest of previous peak here at 435. On the EuroBund future, the EuroBund future has been hit by sell-off last week, bouncing just above 134.25, key support area, and I think we could see a bounce here in the next couple of days. What I will do is that I will actually add a Fibonacci there, so we can see if we actually get above 135.20. Well, then we could look at 135.71 again, and possibly 136. We are above the cloud, we are above all moving averages, but they are more or less, I would say, what I would call flat and indecisive at the moment. However, the RSI is showing positive sentiment with no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. What is not a higher levels, but on the contrary, is actually UK Gilts that's really been hit by heavy selling after being rejected at the cloud, and especially the 55 moving average. I think, and I mentioned it many times before, I think we will see 91 and 90 being tested here fairly shortly, maybe before year end or in the going into January. Bitcoin is showing some fatigue here. We can see it actually forming a top and reversal pattern, and I think we will see it sliding back below 100,000, or at least down to 100,000, maybe even lower here in the coming days. And then it needs to take out the spike up there just above or just below 109,000 for a push higher. But for now, almost a classic top and reversal pattern. However, it should be have to take it a little bit not too serious when we are talking about Bitcoin, since it doesn't really have an official closing price. So I'm just using the 24 hours from the European side, or the CET time zone. So it's not as slam dunk as it normally would be with an exchange traded product. Here we have the Ethereum that got rejected at just around 4,000, and it really needs to take out that. Will it be a double top? We can only tell that if it's breaking below 3,500. So those two levels are key to watch. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day, and talk to you later.